Hey guys, so I very briefly just wanted to give an official response to the piece by Jared Holt in Right Wing Watch, which featured me recently. I did kind of a more extended interview and just kind of, dialogue really with James Alsop and Tara McCarthy, Brittany Pettibone on James's channel, and I will link that below. But I just kind of wanted to give some of my personal insight into this article and definitely a lot of rebuttals.
So let's just dive right in. So white supremacy figured out how to become YouTube famous. So they start with a video that I was featured in twice, but mostly has millennial woes in it. He then goes on to talk about personalities such as Mike Cernovich and Lauren Southern. Features a lot of misinformation about Blonde in the Belly of the Beast, who has a wonderful anti-feminism channel and is obviously not a white supremacist. Also not a fear-monger, hate-monger. Brittany Pettibone, wonderful author. James Alsop, who does tremendous journalism on his YouTube channel. Millennial Woes, who has incredibly insightful political and social commentary. Ramsey Paul, also great social and political commentary. Wonderful stuff. And look at these beautiful people, Lana and Henrik with a great news station. Tara, who has a divine voice and gives us all kinds of information. And then we get to me. One of the first things you'll notice is that instead of using a regular picture of me that's available on my social media, he took a still shot from one of my videos in a weird and awkward position. Whenever you see this, you know that you're looking at garbage journalism because they're trying to slant your opinion of the person by presenting them in an unflattering light. So then we get into this little paragraph he has down below on me. So he says here, AILA, who does not publicly share her last name, advocates for radical traditionalism on YouTube and on her blog. And as Romy Millennial pointed out on her rebuttal to this article, that he is very clear about personal information that's not really relevant to the topic at hand. And she actually referenced him specifically calling out the lack of my last name as part of this technique. The implication here being, find out AILA's last name and give her hell. And I'd point out here that even though he links to my blog, I didn't see any uptick in my blog traffic around the time that this article was put out, which tells me that a lot of people are ignoring Right Wing Watch. In fact, I always get a huge upsurge in hate mail, death threats, and things like this anytime I'm profiled in any kind of major publication. This article actually went right under my radar for almost a week before I found out about it, and the only way I found out about it was some of the other people that were in here, featured in here, actually told me about it, and I had to go Google. So the fact that this didn't create any blowback on my end, like the Daily Mail or even Salt Lake Tribune does, shows me that this is something that no one reads. He goes on to say, her blog warns that feminism, homosexuality, atheism, hedonism, and transgenderism have overshadowed the Western world's hard work and priorities of family and faith. Well, yeah, they have, and that's my opinion, and there's nothing white supremacist or hateful or bigoted about it. That is simply my opinion. The laziness of this journalism, again, it's astounding because all he did was go onto my website there and just copy-paste the first couple of words that he saw. He goes on to say, AILA, who considers herself an alt-right poster girl. Now, let me pause right there in the middle of that sentence. I've never considered myself an alt-right poster girl. Let's actually do some journalism, which Jared Holt didn't do, and go back and see, where does the term alt-right poster girl actually come from? So here's the tweet he links to in that, when I said, hashtag alt-right poster girl. With great power comes great responsibility, LOL. Now, the LOL is the indicator here that this is a joke, and I was making this joke not because I consider myself the alt-right poster girl, but because the Daily Mail had just recently called me the alt-right poster girl. I mean, dang, Jared, are they not paying you enough over there at Right Wing Watch to make a couple extra clicks to, I don't know, actually find out facts? But anyways, moving on. So he continues to say, is best known for proposing to her audience a white baby challenge. Now, again, everybody who follows me understands this and knows this, but the history of the White Baby Challenge is that I had made a tongue-in-cheek Twitter post about Steve King's comments when he said you can't rebuild your civilization with somebody else's babies. And I had jokingly said, because I have 6 children, and that's kind of a running joke on my Twitter about my big family and so forth, that I was issuing a White Baby Challenge. It was a joke. It was tongue-in-cheek. Yes, it was meant to bring attention to the fact that white people are disproportionately not having very many children compared to other races, but it was a tongue-in-cheek joke. And the fact that he's trying to present it, as all of these junk journalists do, as anything other than a joke is just absolutely ridiculous and completely discrediting. He goes on to say AILA, who's a Mormon, claimed the Mormon Church turned its back on its white members when it denounced white supremacy following the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. This is just a blatant lie. I never said that. The Church put out 2 different statements. The first statement was on white supremacy, which I completely agreed with. I also denounce white supremacy. I don't support white supremacy, and I don't support white supremacists. Full stop. Period. I do not. I am not a white supremacist. Then the next day, they put out a PR statement claiming that church members could not support white culture. It was then that I said that the Mormon Church has turned its back on its white members, and that is true. The Polynesian members, the black members, the Asian members, every other race in the Mormon Church is allowed to not only celebrate its culture, but they even have some cultural centers like the Polynesian Cultural Center in Hawaii. Only white members are now suddenly supposed to not celebrate or honor their culture, their heritage, and their ancestry. And I stand by the phrase that the church did turn its back on its white members when it said that. However, that is not what Jared Holt is claiming here. Yeah. With journalism comes responsibility, and particularly you need to look at the type of person that you're speaking about. And when you target a wife and a mother of 6 young children, you need to be extra careful that you are doing your due diligence to represent her position to a public audience correctly, particularly when you go out of your way to share public details about her life. For Pete's sake, Jared. Moving on, he says, AILA has been promoted by alt-right broadcast station Red Ice TV and right-wing blogger Brittany Pettibone. And after leaving off on that white supremacy note, you would think that my appearances on Red Ice TV and on Brittany's channel were about white supremacy, that we were talking about gassing the Jews or some other ridiculous nonsense, and nothing could be further from the truth. Both of my appearances on Red Ice TV and Brittany Pettibone's channel were about what I'm always about on my Twitter and on my YouTube, if you scroll through my videos and my tweets, about promoting traditional living. It's about promoting faith and family values and large families and motherhood. But Jared doesn't want to talk about that. He doesn't want to actually profile 98% of the content on my YouTube and my Twitter and all of my other social media. He just wants to cherry pick 2 incidences that I'm well known for, and then conflate a lie together out of one of those incidences in order to portray me in a way that is completely false. And here comes the part that I love. So then he says that the enablers of hate are people like Sargon of Akkad. Now look, I love Sargon, and I actually watch his channel a lot, but he virtue signals against anything remotely white supremacist, alt-right, or right-wing so hard that I'm often afraid he's going to strain something. Then he features another one of my favorites, Stefan Molyneux. I think my husband watches Stefan every single day. Stefan's channel is a philosophy channel. It teaches people how to think logically and to develop well-reasoned arguments. So suddenly that's some kind of like hateful bigotry, white supremacist, right-wing, blah-blah-blah. You really need to try harder, Jared. And finally, the most hilarious and also infuriating example of all, Roaming Millennial. Roaming Millennial, who actually isn't white. she's half Asian. So a half Asian woman is starting a YouTube channel in order to give a platform to hateful, bigoted, white supremacists. Is that the best you have, Jared? I mean, really, if I was a lefty and I was afraid of white supremacy and I read this article, I'd actually sleep a lot better at night, because the only conclusion I could come to is white supremacy and white supremacist fearmonger haters that are going to go out and start the next Holocaust don't actually exist. Then he goes on to talk about Hammer 666, and I've honestly never watched his channel and know almost nothing about him, but I figure if he's been thrown in this bunch, he's probably innocent too. And this circles us around to the real reason Jared Holt was paid to write this article. It's that people like him and the people that are paying him are scared to death. I'm like a house mom with 6 kids that I homeschool, and I have an iPad, and every now and again I sneak into a corner and get to make a video about my social, political, or environmental opinions. And I happen to have garnered 8,000 subscribers from that, which is actually a really low count. I'm not quite sure how I made this list of the YouTube All-Stars, but at any rate, and if I can do that and I can challenge the prevailing narrative that they want to push, that family life is horrible and you should be a feminist and you should go out and have a career and children will ruin your life, and, well, see, I can disqualify all of that from my living room. And they're scared to death. They're desperately trying to hold on to not only the narrative in society that makes their lives make sense. You see, if you didn't have children, or if you only had one when you otherwise would have wanted to have more, and you devoted yourself to some liberal career or some big feminist goal, well, you want to keep that narrative going. You want to continue self-deluding, because looking at yourself in the mirror isn't going to be that pleasant. Realizing that you let other people talk you out of your real dreams, letting other people talk you out of the family and the life that you could have had. No, you have to stop that at all costs. So the best way to shut this mom down? Well, why not call her a white supremacist? Because she openly admits that she's not ashamed of being white, and oh my goodness, gasp in horror, she's actually proud of her ancestors and her traditions, and she thinks she has a culture. Who is this woman? Who is this woman who thinks that white European people have a culture? You must shut her up. You must call her a racist. You must defame her. You must stop what she is doing. Before you know it, men and women are going to get married. They're going to wait to have sex until they're married. And then they're going to have kids. And they're going to take those kids to church. This is entirely out of control. This is the reason that Jared Holt is doing what he's doing. But it's also the reason it isn't going to work. Thanks for watching, guys. Please consider going to wifewithapurpose.com/support. This year of 2017 has really seen the media and the press attack me in ways that I have not seen before. And I appreciate every person that can support me and can help me continue to do this work. Being under such pressure isn't always easy, but together we can do this. Thanks so much.